My Lords, El Niño is just one of a number of climatic drivers that can influence UK weather patterns. Any potential impacts will depend on how these drivers combine, and this will be assessed in more detail later in the year as forecasts evolve. The Government continues to take action to strengthen the UK's resilience against severe weather events. The National Risk Register details the wide-ranging impacts of severe weather to ensure comprehensive contingency plans are in place.
My Lords, I'm grateful to my noble friend for that answer. But 46 months ago today, the UK suffered its highest recorded temperature, 40 degrees in London. That led to nearly 300 premature deaths in London alone, possibly 3,000 across the country. And it led to the fire brigade in London alone being called out and was at its busiest at any time since the Blitz in the Second World War because of the wildfires associated. And indeed, if you look nationally, that has been the pattern of an increasing number of wildfires. So could my noble friend say, in preparation, if not for an El Niño-related heat event, but to any other heat event, what steps are being taken to ensure the fire service has the resources necessary and that the hospitals and the public are aware of the implications of that sort of event?
My noble friend is absolutely right. 2022 was the UK's hottest year on record and saw over 20,000 hectares of land in England burnt. The destruction of over 70 properties across the UK and at least 14 fire and rescue services declaring major incidents in their areas, as well as 2,985 access deaths. My Lords, we have to learn from each event as it happens and make sure that the lessons learnt are reflected in our resilience plans going forward, which is why we now have a severe weather resilience network led by COBRA, but that does include MHCLG and the Department of Health as key aspects of it. We need to make sure that the most vulnerable are protected and that the people and those that need resources, whether that's at a local level or a national level, have what they need to keep us all safe.
My Lords, some local authorities have in the past identified places such as churches which may provide shelter, cool shelter, during very high temperature periods. Is there any work which the government is doing to work with local authorities to make for those kind of preventative action have the information available as and when it might be needed?
The noble lady's absolutely right. We saw during COVID and we see during every crisis moment that communities come together and the church and faith communities tend to be at the heart of a response. Details about how communities can respond are available on gov.uk/prepare, where it outlines not just what's available and what individuals can do, but also what communities can do to prepare for any extreme event, whether that is related to a pandemic or whether that's related to a severe weather. We thank everyone that steps up at times of national emergency, and especially those with our faith communities who take local leadership roles.
Returning to the debate we had about adaptation to climate change, would the noble Baroness, the Minister, agree with me that as well as having the plans in place for how we respond to an immediate emergency, we also have to look at the longer term? This has happened already, is going to happen more, and does she agree that we need to design and adapt buildings so that they are comfortable and safe for people during hot weather episodes?
Well, lady's absolutely right, both in terms of hot and any form of extreme weather, actually, too. We need to reflect that both in design, but also in how we look after each other. The National Security Strategy references climate change 12 times. This is a core part of who we are, and actually, as my noble friend referenced in terms of wildfires, we are seeing an increase in the number of wildfires year on year as our climate changes. In preparation for this question, meeting with the Met Office to talk about the extremes and how we analyse, it's also about the new modelling that we can do too, so how we're going to use AI in addition to traditional modelling so that we can better assess long-term patterns too, is important, so that we can make sure as a government that we're working across all sectors, whether it is building and design or whether it's with our schools, our hospitals, to make sure that they've got the right resilience plans in place as and when needed.
much welcome this question. The coolest years are now warmer than the warmest years used to be, and all the signs are that we do have a record weather event coming up over the next 2 summers. Can I also return to wildfires as well, because I think they're really important. I know the government's developing their strategy and action plan. 2022 has been mentioned already, but can the Minister reassure me that the lessons from that particular incident are being learned? And the Minister may need to write to me, but can I ask what actual fixed and rotary wing actual aircraft do we have available for fighting wildfires, and what consideration is being given to increasing that resource?
The noble lord is absolutely right. I'll have to write to him with the detail of the number of planes available for use at that point, because obviously at a time of national crisis we also divert resources from other parts of the country if required. But in terms of learning steps, I think we absolutely have. We have to learn from each new event because there are unique parts that come through it. There is now a National Resilience Wildfire Advisor in post to make sure that we're doing coordinated work. I had a very reassuring conversation with my noble friend Lord Rowe yesterday about the lessons that have been learnt from the fire service and about how we operate in the round in this space.
My Lord, is the Minister aware that the emergency alerts that you can sign up for via the Prepare website are only available in English and Welsh? If there is going to be an El Niño event later this year, would she commit to taking urgent action to make sure that emergency alerts are available in other languages apart from English and Welsh only, so that everybody can expect the information and the protection that they need too?
The noble lady raises an important point that I wasn't aware of. I will speak to officials and come back to her.
My Lords, weather is of course borderless. What contingent planning have His Majesty's Government undertaken to mitigate the combined impact of potential shortages of essential supplies, so that would include fertiliser, so important to British farmers, that arise from conflict in the Gulf and from a possible super El Niño event in 2026?
The noble lady is right. None of these issues, which is why each crisis moment is different and why we need to ensure that we have strong foundations, which I believe we do as a country in terms of our resilience planning. COBRA are a very effective coordinating tool to make sure that we know that we are on top of all of those challenges and that we can make assessments as and when required in this space.
Can I say to my noble friend, the Minister, she's clearly aware of the urgency of this situation and the demands across government that we must respond to this. The sector is now increasingly asking government to adopt a whole-of-government approach to develop a more resilient society, as it were. Could I therefore ask my noble friend, the Minister, what thinking is taking place in government, ensuring that we do prioritise national resilience in the face of these weather systems, and if there is a need for any more centralised approach to give more leadership to develop that resilient society?
Thank my noble friend that she's absolutely right, which is why the Severe Weather Resilience Network exists, led by COBRA, that has DEFRA, MHCLG, the Department of Health, DCMS, Department for Education, DESNES, DCIT, the Home Office, the Ministry of Defence, UK HSA and the devolved governments to meet and coordinate a response to any and all severe weather events, ensuring, because as the noble Baroness from the opposition benches stated, there are no borders in this space, especially when regards to weather. So making sure that the devolved governments and in the devolved space also have a coordinated response is key. I'm really hoping someone asks me about the weather for the weekend, because I can tell you.
Also, I'm not going to ask the noble lady minister about the weather for the weekend. I'm going to ask her about a debate around how we tackle wildfires. There is a view that in order to tackle wildfires, we have to remove scrub or scrub removal. But at the same time, in removing scrub, people believe that that reduces biodiversity. So there's clearly a tension in wanting to reduce wildfires, but also keep biodiversity. What's the government's perspective on that balance, and how do we make sure that we land in the right place?
The noble lord's right, there are challenges here, as there are in all issues, about how we balance protection as well as environmental developments to make sure that the answers work for each community, and there will be different answers in different parts of the country dependent on their land and local environment. So some of this is a very localised response, which is why we have local resilience forums to make sure that that's working. But in terms of if Noble Lord has something specific, then I'm more than happy to come back to him. But I'd also like to reassure Noble Lords, this weekend it will be warm with the chance of thundery showers at times, the highest temperatures reach into the mid to high 20s in the south east of England.